It was supposed to be a peaceful winter break in the Montana woods, until a mother bear grabbed his 5-year-old son and disappeared into the trees. But what happened next left even the rescue team speechless. Let me tell you something most folks in the city don't grasp until it's too damn late. The wilderness doesn't care about your Wi-Fi, your weekend plans, or your belief that everything can be solved with a well-worded email. Out here, it's raw, real, and absolutely unapologetic. My name's Stephen Marsh, 43, single father, and until 3 weeks ago, I thought I had control over my life. I build bridges for a living, literal bridges, concrete, steel, the kind that hold trucks and people and dreams. 6 months ago, the county sent me and my son out to northern Montana to oversee a backwoods infrastructure project. Should have been simple. 6 months, punch a few holes in the wilderness, head home to Denver. Instead, I met a bear. And no, I'm not talking about some metaphor. We were staying in this old cabin, half rot, half cozy, right where the pine trees start looking like toothpicks stabbed into a snowbank. I brought my 5-year-old son, Sam, with me, a city kid. Thin arms, oversized beanie, and the kind of laugh that makes strangers smile in elevators. I thought he'd love the clean air. I thought the break from noise and concrete would be good for him. But that morning slapped me in the face with a fist made of ice and fur. I had just come in from checking the generator. Thing kept freezing overnight because apparently even machines need therapy in this place. I was stomping snow off my boots when I heard it. This short, strangled yell. You know that sound? The one your gut recognizes before your brain does? Yeah, that one. I turned just in time to see my son, my whole life, being dragged into the forest by something brown and massive. A bear. And not just any bear. This wasn't a clumsy cartoon grizzly with a honey addiction. This was a mother bear, twice my weight, moving like she had a purpose, and my kid was part of it. She didn't growl, she didn't run, she just took him, like he was hers. My legs moved before my brain caught up. I ran, no coat, no boots, no plan, just a man chasing after 600 pounds of instinct with the kind of scream that rips your throat in half. I crashed through the woods like a wrecking ball in a flannel shirt, tripping over roots and swallowing branches. But they were gone. Gone. By the time the local ranger arrived, Anita Holloway, tough as nails and too calm for my taste, I was shaking, soaked in sweat, and ready to punch something that wouldn't break my hand. I expected helicopters, SWAT teams. Instead, she showed up with a map, a thermos, and a face that said, "You're not gonna like what I'm about to tell you." She listened, patient, polite, but I could tell, in her head she was already calculating the odds. "Stephen," she finally said, "if it was a mother bear, she didn't take him to hurt him. She took him because she's desperate." I blinked. "Excuse me?" "She's protecting something. Maybe a cub, maybe herself. Bears in winter don't come out unless they have a damn good reason. She's not acting out of aggression. She's making a decision." "Oh, great," I snapped. "That makes me feel so much better. My 5-year-old is being used in some kind of fur-covered custody battle, and you want me to be understanding?" But Anita wasn't wrong. The tracks were clear in the snow. Big paw prints. Smaller ones, too. A second set. Maybe a sick cub? Maybe she'd lost her den? I didn't know. What I did know was this. That animal had looked right at me before disappearing. And I swear, I didn't see hatred in those eyes. I saw something else. Something I couldn't name at the time, and still hate remembering. The search team rolled in with more flashlights and less urgency than I wanted. They kept saying things like, "She might stash him temporarily," and "bears don't usually see children as prey." Usually, that word. That stupid, cowardly word. Every part of me wanted to rip through those trees, scream until my throat tore open, fight nature itself to get my boy back. But what was I going to do? Outrun a bear? Outthink something that had already outplayed me? So I stayed put, in the cold, by the tree line, staring into the dark like it owed me answers. That's when I said it, out loud. Not to anyone, just to myself. She didn't mean harm. And the minute those words left my mouth, I hated them. But deep down, I believed them. What happened next changed everything. You don't want to miss how this turns. Stay with me. They always say the worst part is the waiting. Whoever they are, they never had a bear take their child. There's no manual for this, no hotline to call, no motivational poster on a ranger's office wall that says, "Stay calm when nature kidnaps your kid." There's just silence. Thick, cold, nerve-scraping silence, the kind that crawls into your spine and sits there like a weight. By the second hour, I was pacing like a lunatic outside that cabin. Anita stood a few yards away, watching the snow fall like she had all the time in the world, like she wasn't overseeing the slowest search party in history. I wanted to scream, or punch a tree, or both. "They found more tracks," she said without turning. I stopped. "What kind of tracks?" she sighed. "2 cubs, 1 healthy, 1 limping." Oh, good. So now I'm competing with a bear's tragic family story. Perfect. Anita looked at me with that ranger face again, the kind that says, "Don't freak out, but this is where things get weird." "She's moving slow, deliberate. She's not running from us. She's leading us away from something." "So now she's playing chess?" "She's doing what mothers do when everything falls apart. She's calculating risk." I wanted to argue, but what could I say? I was a father too. I knew exactly what that looked like, making impossible decisions with a straight face while your insides collapse. But here's the thing. No one tells you about real fear. It doesn't shout. It whispers. It walks beside you. It waits until you stop pretending you're fine, and then it quietly asks, "What if you never see him again?" We followed the tracks. Me, Anita, 2 other volunteers. Through knee-deep snow and frozen brush, every step sounding like a gunshot in the stillness. I could feel my pulse in my teeth. I couldn't tell if I was freezing or burning from the inside out. Then we found it. Not my son, not yet. But something that almost made me drop to my knees. A cave. Tucked under a jagged outcropping, half hidden behind a curtain of ice. You wouldn't even notice it unless you were looking for shelter, or dying. There were scraps of something just outside. Bark, moss, a child's mitten, Sam's. I lunged forward. Anita caught my arm like a trap. "Don't," she said firmly. "If she's inside, you walk in like that, you may not walk out." She took my son. "She's protecting hers." I stood there, caught in a moment that felt like a moral test I didn't sign up for. Rage boiling under guilt, panic strangling logic. And then, a sound. A low, guttural whine from inside the cave. Not a roar, not a warning, a cry. We waited. We had to. The decision tore me apart, but I trusted Anita, mostly because she looked like she'd stare down a wildfire and ask it for directions. 20 minutes passed like molasses in January. Then, out of nowhere, something shuffled at the mouth of the cave. It wasn't the bear. It was Sam, wrapped in pine branches, eyes wide and unfocused, walking like someone in a dream, like someone who'd just been tucked in by the wild. I ran before anyone could stop me, dropped to my knees in the snow and caught him in my arms. He didn't speak. He didn't cry. He just pressed his face to my neck and breathed like he'd been holding it for hours. Behind us, deep in the shadows of the cave, I saw her. The bear. Just standing there, watching. Her cub limped beside her, barely standing. She didn't growl. She didn't charge. She just looked at us with this raw, exhausted stare. And then, slowly, she turned and disappeared deeper into the dark. Anita whispered, "She waited until she knew he was safe." And just like that, the whole story I had built, the one where she was the villain, the threat, the monster in the woods, it crumbled. She hadn't kidnapped my son. She'd kept him alive. This is it. The climax is here. Everything you've been waiting for. Right in the final chapter. Stay. You do not want to miss how this ends. They always talk about the moment of rescue like it's some kind of Hollywood finish. Kid found, dad relieved, everybody claps, cue the soft music. Yeah, no. That's not how this ends. That's not how any of this works when you're staring into the eyes of a wild animal and realizing you were the one who got it wrong. After we pulled Sam back from that cave, the medics checked him over. No bruises, no scratches, no broken bones, just cold, quiet, and clinging to me like I was the last solid thing in the world. And I'll be honest with you, I was shaking harder than he was. What do you do when your kid's been held by a bear and comes out looking calmer than you feel? I asked Sam later, gently, like you talk to someone who's been through a storm. He said one thing. She kept me warm. That's it. That's all. No panic, no horror, just a statement. Like he was describing a kind stranger at a bus stop. The only difference was, this stranger had claws the size of carving knives. Anita, to her credit, didn't gloat. She could have said, "I told you so," 20 different ways. Instead, she said, "You just witnessed a miracle, but if we don't speak up, someone will still shoot that bear." And here we go. Cue the system. Within hours of the story breaking, media vans were spinning their tires outside the ranger station. Microphones, cameras, people yelling my name like I was some celebrity who'd just survived a plane crash. You'd think folks would care that a wild bear just acted more human than half the town. But no, they wanted the juicy angle. Predator kidnaps child. 5-year-old nearly mauled in snowy woods. The truth? That didn't fit the headline. Too complicated. Too noble. Too real. So I did what I never thought I'd do. I stood in front of a line of microphones and called the whole thing out. She didn't take him to hurt him, I said. She was trying to save something of her own. And my boy? He's here because of that. Silence. Like I'd just told a room full of politicians that integrity still mattered. Then the questions came fast and dumb. So you're saying the bear helped your son? Would you leave your child in the woods again? What if she comes back? And that's when the sarcasm kicked in. Yeah, I said. Next time I lose track of my son, I'll be sure to check in with the local wildlife for assistance. Let me tell you something. Truth doesn't always win. Not in public. But it does get under people's skin. And this story, it spread. Not because of the danger, but because people couldn't wrap their heads around compassion coming from something with fur and teeth. Turns out the bear wasn't just escaping the cold. She had been driven from her original den. Development, construction, you name it. One of the bridge crews, not mine, thank God, had unknowingly bulldozed her hibernation site days before. She didn't lash out. She relocated. She adapted. And when her cub started fading, she looked for shelter and saw light in a cabin window. Let that sink in. We tear through their homes with machines, and when they show restraint, we label them dangerous. Wildlife Services still pushed for relocation, said it was for public safety. Anita and I fought that with every ounce of paperwork we could dig up. We called in environmental groups. She even got a camera into the cave later. The mother and her injured cub huddled inside, not bothering anyone, not aggressive, just surviving. Eventually, they backed off. Quietly. No press, no applause, and I didn't need it. Because the next time Sam saw a photo of a bear in one of his picture books, he didn't flinch. He pointed at it and said, "That's the one who helped me." That's what stayed with me. Not the fear, not the media circus, but the fact that, in a world full of overreaction and noise, a child remembered the kindness of a creature we were all told to fear. We spend our lives trying to protect our kids from monsters. Turns out sometimes the monster is the one doing the protecting. Final note, let them call it strange. Let them twist it into clicks and headlines. But I know what I saw. A mother protecting her young and mine. If that doesn't shake something in you, then maybe you've forgotten what it means to care when it's inconvenient. This was her forest. We were just guests.